Okay guys, I don't have anything funny to say, just know that we get to play D-Fizzy in this deck. Man oh man oh man, what a busted ass skill. Constellar's got a new skill you can unlock from the lifetime missions that makes playing Constellars not only a lot easier, but a lot better in general. We don't need to care about levels when it comes to Xyz summoning Constellars anymore, so you can choose your Constellars based on how good their effects are, rather than coping on level 4s, and doing some weird nonsense just to go into our rank 5 boss monster Pleiades. This deck's boss monster is Constellar Pleiades. He has the quick effect to detach a material to return any card from the field to the hand. It could be monsters, it could be back row, it could be your cards, it could be your opponent's cards. Point is, he's compulsory evacuation device as an Xyz monster, and him being a rank 5 doesn't matter because our new skill lets us Xyz Constellar monsters without needing to have the right level requirements. I should say though, if you want to summon generic Xyz, you're still going to need the right level, so we're still going to be mostly focused around level and rank 4s. Pleiades isn't the only Constellar Xyz worth going into though. We have a protective option in Constellar Omega, who can detach a material as a quick effect to protect all Constellars you currently control from back row for that turn. So if you summon this alongside Pleiades, then you can protect him from Dark Hole, Chalice, Book of Moon, stuff like that. And if you're trying to win the game but the opponent's got a bunch of back row, you can protect yourself from it with the Omega. If you want to break boards in this deck, of course, Pleiades can bounce the opponent's cards, but if we want even more removal, we can summon Constellar Ptolemy M7, who can attach a material to return any monster from the field or grave into the hand, so you can bounce another monster from the opponent, but you might also like to return a Constellar from your grave to your hand with its effect, so you can use it again. Since Pleiades only has a couple of materials, he's only going to be able to use his effect twice, but when he has no materials left, you could actually slap Ptolemy M7 on top of him, because Ptolemy can also be Xyz using a Constellar Xyz you control. The only thing is though that you can't use his detach and bounce effect the same turn you summon him that way. The cool thing you could do, once Pleiades is spent, is rank him up in Ptolemy M7, since he does have 200 more attack than Pleiades, then next turn to attach the Pleiades, to return the Pleiades from your grave to the extra deck so you can summon him again. If what you need is to beat over a big monster like Leo Dancer, then you could summon Ptolemy M7 with its 2700 attack, alongside it summon Constellar Persepi. And when you attack into Leo Dancer with Ptolemy M7, you can detach a material from Persepi to have the M7 gain 1000 attack, making M7 3700 attack, which is usually going to be just enough to beat over Leo Dancer. That is a decent amount of effort to get over a Leo Dancer, but desperate times call for desperate measures. We aren't always going to be that desperate though. We could go into our rank 4 Utopia, rank it up into Utopia the Lightning to attack into Leo Dancer with 5k attack. This is going to be mostly a rank 4 deck. We can take advantage of board breaking like that, as well as the interruptive capabilities of Abyss Dweller and Giant Hand. Basically, you can pretend everything in this extra deck is a rank 4, because the only ones that aren't rank 4s are Constellars, and the Constellars won't care about levels anymore because of the skill. This deck isn't the best in the world at getting out a bunch of rank 4s, however it does have some solid things going for it, the main thing being that the new skill also lets you have a 1-card combo. The new skill, Constellar Union, lets you reveal a Constellar from your hand to send a couple of Constellars from deck to grave. Because it sends 2 from deck to grave, it lets you take full advantage of Constellar Sombre. You can banish a Constellar from grave to add a Constellar from grave back to hand. So you send one to banish and one to add back to your hand, and then after doing that, Sombre can activate its effect to bonus normal summon a Constellar, so you get to normal summon the card you added back. Of course, this is a great 1-card combo to get materials on the field for an Xyz summon, but it's also important to mention that you got both materials on the field using only normal summons, meaning that Shadol's being able to restrict your special summon ability with Winder isn't going to hurt you so much. You can go right into Pleiades as your first special summon for the turn and bounce the Winder so you can keep playing. All that is assuming you can actually get the Sombre in hand, and we are definitely going to be playing 3 copies of it, so we are going to see it a lot. We are going to need more starters to guarantee that we get an opening play going. If we instead open up with Constellar Razalhag, we can reveal it in hand to send a Sombre from deck to grave, then another Constellar. From there we can normal summon the Razalhag, activate its effect to tribute itself to special summon a Constellar from hand or grave. We are going to re-summon Sombre. Sombre can then banish the Razalhag to add back the other monster we sent to the grave, so we can then normal summon that one. What's so great about both Sombre and Razalhag is that they are great top decks as the game goes on, since if you draw into another Sombre, you'll already have Constellars in grave to banish, to add back, and then do more play. And if you top deck a Razalhag, you'll already have a Sombre in grave to special summon back. With either of these variations of the opening play, the skill is going to be able to send something from deck to grave to help you even further once added back to hand with Sombre. If you send Constellar Pollux from deck to grave, you can banish whatever other Constellar you have in grave to add back, and use Sombre's effect to normal summon the Pollux from hand, and the turn the Pollux is normal summoned, you gain another normal summon. This effect is going to be great if you have another Constellar in hand that you want to continue plays even further. You can instead send the new support card Constellar Caduceus. What's so great about Caduceus is that when you add it back to your hand, you don't actually have to use Sombre to get it onto the field. Sombre giving you a bonus normal summon is great, but you can only get get so many bonus normal summons. You could instead use Sombre's bonus normal summon effect to summon one of your other Constellars from the hand, because Caduceus can special summon itself as long as you control a Constellar monster. Even better than that, it has another activated effect. You can add a Constellar back row from deck to hand. I should say, Constellars don't really have any good back row to search. However, we can still gain advantage with this effect because we can search for Constellar's star chart, which is a continuous spell that lets you draw a card once per turn if you summon a Constellar Xyz monster. So basically, if you open up Sombre, you can use a skill to send Caduceus and a monster to banish to add back the Caduceus with Sombre, or if you open Razelhag, then you can use the skill to send Sombre and Caduceus, so Razelhag can resummon Sombre, and Sombre can banish the Razelhag to add back the Caduceus. In either scenario, the Caduceus will summon itself, search the Constellar star chart. You can activate the star chart, and with your two monsters, you can summon Constellar Pleiades, causing you to immediately draw a card with the star chart. Let's say you already have a Caduceus in your hand alongside a starter though. In that case, the skill wouldn't send Caduceus, it would send Pollux. So when you add the Pollux back with Sombre, the Sombre can bonus normal summon that Pollux. So you can have that Pollux on your field when you use Caduceus and the Sombre to go into Pleiades, and then with the Pollux giving you yet another additional normal summon, you'll be able to go into a second Xyz monster. But if you want to go into a second Constellar Xyz monster, there's a nice trick you can do before you summon the second. You use Pleiades detaching material to return your own star chart to the hand, so you can activate it again, and then when you summon your second Constellar Xyz, you'll be able to draw a second card. Because of this draw engine, this deck can take some pretty good advantage of whatever tech cards you think will help you best. If you don't have any other Constellars in hand to normal summon with Pollux though, or if you don't want to draw a card with star chart, then you can send Zubanesh Shimali. It's a level 5, but the skill lets us normal summon without tributes. So with the bonus normal summon, we can summon this card and secure us a follow-up play, because on summon, it searches any Constellar monster. We're going to search for another copy of Sombre to use next turn. What's great about that play is technically on the follow-up, the Sombre you searched could add back Zubanesh Shimali to search for a third Sombre. So we have guaranteed long game situation here if we need it, as long as we have a good amount of Constellar Xyz in the extra deck. When it comes to picking what techs you play in your deck, a lot of people feel like it's fine to just throw in whatever you have, or throw in whatever you like most. And amen, I'm not about to force you to not do that. However, I will say that it is always going to be better to consider your deck's strengths and weaknesses and use your techs to synergize with your game plan or make your main game plan better. This deck can take full advantage of Dimensional Fissure, which is a continuous spell that says any monster sent to the grave is banished instead. Against the vast majority of decks in the game, this card is going to be absolutely backbreaking. Almost every deck in the game has graveyard synergies. You might remember that we also have graveyard synergies because of Sombre adding back Constellars from the grave by banishing other Constellars. Unlike a deck like Ancient Warriors that plays this card because they don't give a damn about the grave, we can instead play this card because we can actually work around the D-Fizzy as if it weren't even there. First of all, when you send cards directly from the deck to the grave with skills aren't actually activated by card effects at all. So even with D-Fizzy on the field, a skill is still going to successfully send Constellars we need from the deck to the grave. More than just that though, if your Xyz material monsters are detached, this isn't counted as a monster being sent to the grave. It's a complicated ruling that can be explained in maybe another video, but all you gotta know right now is that if your Xyz material is detached, or if your Xyz dies while D-Fizzy is on the field, the D-Fizzy won't banish the material and will let them go to the grave. So basically, we get to cheat the D-Fizzy because our monsters are only ever going to go to the grave as Xyz material anyway. The only thing I should mention though that might screw you up a bit with D-Fizzy is that if you use Razelhag to revive a Constellar by tributing itself while you control a D-Fizzy on the field, you will be banishing it, meaning that you might not have the required Constellar engraved to banish to add back another Constellar with Sombre. So if you only have two Constellars engraved, use Razelhag's effect before activating D-Fizzy. Probably the most important thing about D-Fizzy isn't just the fact that it screws over a lot of decks' grave strategies, but the fact that it can actually prevent the opponent from using Effect Veiler and DD Crow. This deck's combo can almost be entirely prevented by Effect Veiler or DD Crow if we don't have Caduceus or Pollux in hand to let us extend. But D-Fizzy on the field completely prevents both DD Crow and Effect Veiler from even being activated in the first place, since they need to be able to discard themselves to the grave to activate it, and they won't be able to since they'll be banished instead with a D-Fizzy. Since our deck's combo is so simple, it is also a bit prone to interruption. There are some interruptions we can inherently play through, so don't get me wrong, this isn't an archetype that immediately loses to any interruption, but if the opponent has too much, then we aren't playing through it as well as some other decks can, so we should choose our other tech choices that help us play through interruptions better. Forbidden Lance helps us to play through back row, and Forbidden Chalice helps us to play against monsters. Chalice has the added benefit of being an interruption on the opponent's turn as well, and both Chalice and Lance have the added benefit of helping our monsters win in battles they ordinarily wouldn't be able to. These are the options I feel help the deck the most, but of course they aren't a part of the inherent game plan, so you don't technically have to play them. This is what the deck looks like. These are the core cards you simply have to play. You need 3 Sombre, 3 Razelhag because they are the starters of the deck, so you have to max them out for consistency. You have to play at least 1 Pollux to send to the grave with a skill to extend your plays whenever you can. However, you could also play 2 or 3 of it because you wanted to be able to play through interruptions better, since its bonus normal summon isn't an activated effect. Caduceus is also not very good on its own. However, having it in your hand alongside your starter makes your hands way better and gives you the freedom to send Pollux from deck to grave with a skill, so you could add it back and have better plays. Technically, playing more Pollux also means that when you open it, you can send Caduceus to grave to add it back, since then you'll have the same result. Better play the 1 copy of Zubanesh Shamali for that guaranteed grind game if our opening hand doesn't give us many monsters. A lot of hands won't even need you to use this, but just having it available to you is important. Just 1 copy of Star Chart to search for it with Caduceus. If you are thinking this card isn't worth playing, I would remind you real quick that the draws that this card provides you are often going to either be drawing into your follow-up plays or into more of your tech slots, both things that this deck really needs to get access to in order to keep up with the competition. For generic support options, I have 3 D Fizzy, 3 Lance, and 3 Chalice. This covers all of the deck's bases in terms of playing through interruption, since we can play through back row with Lance, monsters with Chalice, and hand traps with D Fizzy, while all 3 also give you added benefits for playing them. The extra deck only really requires that you play at least the 1 Pleiades, 1 Omega, and 1 Ptolemy M7. The rest is pretty optional. You'd even play Link monsters if you wanted, but it's easy to take advantage of Abyss Dweller to turn off the opponent's grave, and we also have the Utopia, the Lightning package, to beat over super huge protected monsters like Leo Dancer and Gasha Dokuro. But if for some reason we can't get 2 level 4s together, like if we have our materials as Razelhag, then we can instead go into Persepi to fulfill a similar purpose. I feel like we should be able to go into the Utopia, the Lightning the majority of the time anyway, so it's fine. So I play a 2nd copy of M7, so 1 copy can be used to slap on top of a spent up Pleiades, and the other can be summoned with a couple of Constellars, so it can still use its effect the same turn. Also, since we are using a bunch of level 4s, we might as well take advantage of the Ahashima, since it's kind of free most of the time if you can rank 4, but you also have a level 4 in hand. You might as well make Ahashima, since it can pop back row, and it can also be nice to force out the Shadow player's Schism. At the end of the day though, guys, you can do whatever you like with your deck. I'm not here to tell you how to build your deck, I'm just here to show you how to play it. So let's just get into the replay, shall we? Alright, so I am going first here against Ubel. My hand is not very good, but I'm still sending Constellars to the grave, just in case I top deck into a starter. Of course, I could do it then, but I'm just getting it out of the way now. I do have 2 Pollux, which technically is a play, you know what I mean, and I have the Dimensional Fissure. Dimensional Fissure is a huge deal against a lot of decks, so I'm going into the Pleiades, activating that D Fizzy, and setting the Lance. Not a very strong field. This deck is not known for strong fields at the end of the day, even with bad hands, or even with good hands. This deck's boards is not very strong. But anyway, very consistent. Neos Fusion, banishing materials, so not very good for him. And he attacks in, Pleiades bounces in. Bouncing him is pretty much GG's, you know what I mean? So I top deck into a starter. Thank goodness there are a lot of starters in the deck. Zubanesh Shamali is a starter, because you can summon it, search for Caduceus and special summon it, so there's that as well. But yeah, I'm going to use Pleiades before doing anything to bounce that back row. He's going to use Fiendish Chain, so I'm going to use my own Lance, so I'm basically getting rid of 2 back row here. There's only 1 back row left to play through, but regardless, I should be alright. So I'm going to activate the Sombre, banish Pollux to add back Caduceus. Caduceus is going to summon itself. Caduceus is going to search for a star chart, activate that star chart into the M7 because my Pleiades is spent up. That star chart is now going to draw me a card, so I don't even have to use these 2 for a Constellar if I don't want to. But I am anyway. I'm going to go into Constellar Omega to potentially protect me from that lost back row and easily just attack in for game. This deck is a very simple deck. Alright, I'm going second here, and I'm going second against Suship. They do have a solid hand for going first. This is not the best deck at going first, but they can make a board. They got the Dreadnought, which can negate me during the battle phase, and they're, you know, also going to be able to go into another rank 4 here. I'm adding the red to hand, and they can go into Abyss Dweller. Against a lot of decks, this would be a fine, decent protection, and he's got a back row as well. But anyway, Constellar Union, I have Pollux, Sombre, and Zubanesh Shamali. That's 3 starters, basically, because Pollux isn't really a starter, it's, you know what I mean. But anyway, I'm going to send a Caduceus and a Razelhag to banish. I'm going to summon the Pollux first, because of course you want to summon the Pollux first. He's going to use Abyss Dweller that doesn't do anything against us. I'm going to bonus normal summon the Sombre. Sombre is going to banish Razelhag to add the Caduceus. Caduceus is going to summon itself and search for the star chart. You can activate that star chart real quick. go right into Pleiades nuts. I also want to mention that Caduceus as Xyz material means that if you battle a light or dark monster, you also get to banish that monster instead of battling it properly, but that's not relevant here. But anyway, Starchart is going to draw a card, Pleiades is going to bounce his monster, he's going to use a chalice to protect him by targeting my Pleiades, but I have a lance to protect myself from that. Then I'm going to be able to use Sombre to bonus normal summon another Sombre, go into number 39 Utopia, go into number 39 Utopia the Lightning, just attacking for game. This is not a very brain heavy deck. Alright, my opponent is going first. They are playing the Winged Dragon of Ra deck. That's pretty interesting. Let us know if you want us to make a video on it at any point, any type of video. They're going to be doing their plays. They're going to search for their consistency card. It's going to be able to get Ra Engrave and revive it with Monster Reborn as well. Using the skill, he can get back the Monster Reborn, and using the True Sun God, he can send Immortal Phoenix and switch their places basically. Immortal Phoenix on end phase dies and summon the Sphere Mode from the deck, who cannot be targeted for attacks or effects. So I can't target him with anything, and I can't attack with him with anything. Like, that's a really nice survival game plan, and on his next turn, he's going to be able to turn it into a 4k Winged Dragon of Ra, so that's pretty solid. The Pollux here are going to send a Razzle Hag and a Caduceus. Pollux is going to normal summon, use my bonus normal summon on Sombre. D-Fizzy is going to activate here to banish my Razzle Hag to get back the Caduceus. Special summon that Caduceus. Caduceus is going to activate to get me a Star Chart. Activate that Star Chart. I haven't used my Sombre's bonus normal summon yet, so if I, draw into another Constellar, then I can use my Sombre to bonus normal summon it. Gonna go into Pleiades. I do happen to draw into a Constellar, so I can use my Sombre to normal summon it, and I can use my Pleiades to bounce my own Star Chart. Star Chart activates again. So then now I can go into my Omega, draw another card, and it's just a Lance. I can set a Chalice, and I have a D-Fizzy. D-Fizzy is actually a huge deal here. So Sphere Mode is going to banish. He's going to summon Winged Dragon of Ra with 4k attack. However, if Winged Dragon of Ra dies, he goes banished instead. So that's actually a big problem. But anyway, I'm going to use my Pleiades to get rid of it, because if he does die, then Immortal Phoenix comes back and he can force it to die with a True Sun God. So I'm just going to bounce it to hand and he can't do anything about it. It's GG's. This deck is really damn simple and its interruptions are solid. The fact that it can summon its boss monster using only normal summons makes this really good against Shadows, which is looking like it's going to be one of the best decks in the game. And the fact that this deck can easily play D-Fizzy positions this deck really well against the majority of decks in the game, including Shadows yet again. I will say though, the main weakness of this deck is that if you interrupt it too much, it can be really crippled, but that's why we play the text that we play in here. Yeah guys, if you have any other questions about the deck or in general, be sure to leave them in the comments, and if you like the video, then slap like now, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell to get notified every time we make a new video. Have yourselves a good one guys, and I've been Undead from Team 6K, signing out.
Hey, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the weatherman. I ain't asking to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake but it ain't on me. Got clean so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast. For real.